Hey, Beckham. Hi, Beckham. How are you, sweetheart?
Good.
Good. Good, good. Hey, Chris. Can you hear us, buddy?
There we go.
All right.
Hi, Chris. How are you, sweetheart?
Good. How are you?
Good. I will send you information about your report card later today, okay?
All right.
What about mine?
Yours should be online, Beckham. Your mom is signed up for that.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Amelia. Why is it taking so long for them to join? How is everybody?
Good.
Good? You happy it's almost Friday? Chris, you're muted. Do you want to be muted?
Oops, sorry, no. No. Okay.
Hi, Antonio.
Say hi, Amelia. Say hi.
I can hear you, Amelia.
Hi, Miss Margaret.
Hey, girly. Yay.
Okay. Now, why is Tony in Minecraft?
Hi, Antonio.
Come on, Tony. Say hi.
Hi, babes. How are ya? Are you good?
Say hi. I think he's
I
talking.
did.
Oh,
Yeah. Hey, Angel, you're in the car.
she wants a piece of paper. Yeah.
Yeah, does everybody have a piece of paper to take notes while we read today? Yeah? All right, let me write down who's here. Yeah. Beckham. Amelia. Angel. Angel, where are you guys traveling to? Don't know. You're just going somewhere?
Yeah. You want back up?
You're gonna have to try and do it back up.
Yeah.
All right, Chris wants back in.
Oh, this is what you want. Paper. Here's your paper.
I have Chris. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Here's
All
your
right, let's see. We have Richard now. Admit Riley.
I don't see Richard.
He's coming. They're joining.
Mm.
Hi, Riley.
Hi.
Hi. Richard is joining. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hey, Richard. Who do I not have? Beckham. Amelia. Angel. Minecraft is Antonio. Oh, Riley. Okay. We're gonna wait about 1 more minute and see if anybody else comes in. Okay. And then we'll get started, I guess. Okay.
I'm excited.
Me too. Me too. I'm so excited to find out what happens to Stanley. Oh boy. We got Addison.
And Marcus, I was.
Hey, Addison.
Marcus is on his call.
Can you hear us, Addison?
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started. All right. Everybody's got a piece of paper to work with, correct?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. I know you may not normally take notes while I read, but since we're not together and we're not able to do it in person, it's a little bit easier to take notes as I read so you can kind of keep track of what's happening in the story. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Beckham, let's stop messing with our shirt, okay, buddy? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So what's going to happen is I will mute all of you, okay? So then from here on out, until we get to the questions part, I will mute you all. If you have a question about something that happened in the story, write it down on the piece of paper so you can ask when we get done with reading 18 through 21 today. Does that make sense? Okay. So think of any questions you have and then take notes about the story, and then we're going to answer a couple questions at the end, and that will be it for today. Okay, guys? Yeah, everybody doing good though?
Yep.
Yeah? All right, well, I miss you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna go on mute. Just remember, if you have a question, write it down on your piece of paper. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Awesome. Okie dokie. You are all now muted. Maybe I should get this figure for class, and then that way, whenever you want to talk, you can't talk anyway because you're already muted. Ha 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 ha. All right, so we're gonna read polls, okay? So we're reading 18 through 21 today. Right, good, thumbs up if you're ready. Yep, everybody can hear me, we're all good? Okay. All right, so the last thing, well, hold on, before I unmute all of you, what happened? What was going on the last time we heard about Stanley? Who wants to help me out with that here a little bit? Addison, what was going on, girlie?
Stanley found a golden lipstick tube, I
Mm-hmm.
guess, and the warden is making them dig every day, faster
Okay.
and faster.
Okay. So why do you think the warden was making them dig? I saw a lot of things like maybe they're searching for buried treasure, or maybe she knows Kissing Kate Barlow or something like that. Chris?
I think it's because she knows someone very famous dug this, and that she knows it could be worth a lot of money, and she might want all that money to herself. So she's
Right.
making everyone make bigger holes and everything. And then I think it was Squid. He's about to dig in Stanley's hole where he found the actual lipstick tube, not where what's the name?
Oh,
Warden?
the warden, uh-huh. Yeah, so we might find out a little bit about what happens with this. So the last thing that really happened with Stanley is he got hit in the head by a shovel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was feeling kind of frustrated and just kind of annoyed with everything that was going on, and that's kind of what Stanley was feeling at the last of our chapter. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
So right now, Stanley's a little frustrated, so we're gonna see what happens, okay? For everyone who just joined in, make sure you have a piece of paper so you can write down any questions you have with a pencil and take notes while I read in case you need it to help you answer questions, okay?
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right, I'm going to mute all of you. Write questions down if you have them during the story, and then we'll get to them after I read, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Let me manage you. All right. Thank you, guys. Okay. So we're going to read chapters 18 through 21 today for holes, okay? All right, so chapter 18. The next morning, Mr. Sir marched the boys to another section of the lake, and each boy dug in his own hole, 5 feet deep and 5 feet wide. Stanley was glad to be away from the big hole. At least now he knew just how much he had to dig for the entire day, and it was a relief not to have other shovels swinging past his face or the warden hanging around. He dug his shovel into the dirt, then slowly turned to dump it into a pile. He had to make his turn smoothly and slow. If he jerked too quickly, He felt a throbbing pain just above his neck where Zigzag's shovel had hit him. That part of his head between his neck and his ear was considerably swollen. There were no mirrors in camp, but he imagined he looked like he had a hard-boiled egg sticking out of the side of his face. The remainder of his body hardly hurt at all. His muscles had strengthened and his hands were tough and calloused. He was still the slowest digger, but not all that much slower than Magnet. Less than 30 minutes after Magnet returned to camp, Stanley spat in his hole. After a shower, he put his dirty clothes into his crate and got out his box of stationery. He stayed in the tent to write the letter so Squid and the other boys wouldn't make fun of him for writing to his mother. Dear Mom and Dad, camp is hard but challenging. We've been running obstacle courses and have to swim long distances on the lake. Tomorrow we learn. He stopped writing as Zero walked into the tent. Then he returned to his letter. He didn't care what Zero thought. Zero was nobody. We learned to climb rocks. I know that sounds crazy and scary, but don't worry. Zero was standing behind him now, watching him write. Stanley turned and felt his neck throb. I don't like it when you read over my shoulder, okay? Zero said nothing. I'll be careful. It's not all fun and games here, but I think I'm getting a lot out of it. It builds characters. The other boys, I don't know how, said Zero. What? Can you teach me? Stanley didn't know what he was talking about. Teach you what? To rock climb? Zero stared at him with a penetrating eyes. He said. What? Said Stanley. He was hot, tired, and sore. I want to learn to read and write, said Zero. Stanley let out a short laugh. He wasn't laughing at Zero. He wasn't laughing at Zero. He was just surprised. All this time he thought Zero was reading over his shoulder. Sorry, he said. I don't know how to teach. After digging all day, he didn't have the strength to try to teach Zero to read and write. He needed to save his energy for people who counted. You don't have to teach me to write, said Zero, just to read. I don't have anybody to write to. Sorry, Stanley said again. His muscles and hands weren't the only part of his body that had gotten tough over the past several weeks. His heart had hardened as well. He finished his letter. He barely had enough moisture in his mouth to seal and stamp the envelope. It seemed that no matter how much water he drank, he was always thirsty. Chapter 19. He was awakened one night by a strange noise. At first, he thought it might have been some kind of animal, and it frightened him. But as the sleep cleared from his head, he realized that the noise was coming from the cot next to him. Squid was crying. You okay? Stanley whispered. Squid's head jerked around. He sniffed and caught his breath. Yeah, I'm fine, he whispered and sniffled again. In the morning, Stanley asked Squid if he was feeling better. What are you, my mother? Asked Squid. Stanley raised and lowered one shoulder. I got allergies, okay? Squid said. Okay, said Stanley. You open your mouth again and I'll break your jaw. Woo. Stanley kept his mouth shut most of the time. He didn't talk too much to any of the boys, afraid that he might say the wrong thing. They called him caveman and all that, but he couldn't forget that they were also dangerous too. They were all here for a reason. As Mr. Sir would say, this wasn't a Girl Scout camp. Stanley was thankful that there were no racial problems. Armpit, X-Ray, and Zero were black. He, Squid, and Zigzag were white. Magnet was Hispanic. On the lake, they were all the same reddish-brown color, the color of dirt. He looked up from his hole to see the water truck and its trail dust cloud. His canteen was still almost a quarter full. He quickly drank it down, then took his place in line behind Magnet and in front of Zero. The air was thick with heat, dust, and exhaust fumes. Mr. Sir filled their canteens. The truck pulled away. Stanley was back in his hole, shovel in hand, when he heard Magnet call out, "Anybody want some sunflower seeds?" Magnet was standing at ground level holding a sack of seeds. He popped a handful into his mouth, chewed, and swallowed, shells and all. "Over here," called X-Ray. The sack looked like it was about half full. Magnet rolled up the top, then tossed it to X-Ray. "How'd you get them without Mr. Sir seeing?" asked Armpit. "I can't help it," Magnet said. He held up both of his hands and wiggled his fingers and laughed. "My fingers are like little magnets." The sack went from X-Ray to Armpit to Squid. "It's sure good to eat something that doesn't come from a can," said Armpit. Squid tossed the sack to Zigzag. Stanley knew it would come to him next. He didn't even want it. From the moment Magnet shouted, "Anybody want some sunflower seeds?" he knew there would be trouble. Mr. Sir was sure to come back. And anyway, the salted shells would just make him only more thirsty. "Coming your way, caveman," said Zigzag. "Airmail and special delivery." It's unclear whether the seeds spilled before they got to Stanley or after he dropped the bag. It seemed to him that Zigzag hadn't rolled up the top before throwing it, and that was the reason he didn't catch it. But it all happened very fast. One moment the sack was flying through the air, and the next thing Stanley knew was the sack was in his hole and the seeds were spilled across the dirt. "Aw, man," said Magnet. "Sorry," Stanley said as he tried to sweep the seeds back into the sack. "I don't want to eat dirt," said X-Ray. Stanley didn't know what to do. "The truck's coming!" shouted Zigzag. Stanley looked up at the approaching dust cloud and then back down at the spilled seeds. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time again. What else is new, honestly? He dug his shovel into his hole and tried to turn over the dirt and bury the seeds. What he should have done now, he realized later, was knock over his dirt piles back into his hole. But the idea of putting dirt into his hole was unthinkable. "Hello, Mr. Sir," said X-Ray. "Back so soon?" "It seems like you were just here," said Armpit. "Time flies when you're having fun," said Magnet. Stanley continued to turn the dirt over in his hole. "You Girl Scouts having a good time?" asked Mr. Sir. He moved from one hole to another. He kicked a dirt pile by Magnet's hole, and then he moved towards Stanley. Stanley could see 2 seeds at the bottom of his hole. As he tried to cover them up, he unearthed a corner of the sack. "Well, what do you know, caveman?" said Mr. Sir, standing over him. "Looks like you found something." Stanley didn't know what to do. "Dig it out," Mr. Sir said. "We'll take it to the warden. Maybe she'll give you the rest of the day off." "It's not anything," Stanley muttered. "Let me be the judge of that," said Mr. Sir. Stanley reached down and pulled up the empty burlap sack. He tried to hand it to Mr. Sir, but he wouldn't take it. "So tell me, caveman," said Mr. Sir, "how did my sack of sunflower seeds get in your hole?" "I stole it from your truck." "You did?" "Yes, Mr. Sir." "What happened to all the sunflower seeds?" "I ate them." "By yourself?" "Yes, Mr. Sir." "Hey, caveman," shouted Armpit. "How come you didn't share with any of us?" "That's cold, man," said X-Ray. "I thought you were our friend," said Magnet. Mr. Sir looked around from one boy to another, then back to Stanley. "We'll see what the warden has to say about this. Let's go." Stanley climbed up out of his hole and followed Mr. Sir to the truck. He still held the empty sack. Felt good to sit inside the truck out of the direct rays of the sun. Stanley was surprised he could feel good about anything at the moment, but he did. And as the truck bounced along the dirt, he was able to appreciate the air blowing through the open window on his hot and sweaty face. Chapter 20. Something's gonna happen! It felt good to walk into the shade of the 2 oak trees. Stanley wondered if this was how a condemned man felt on his way to the electric chair, appreciating all the little things in life for the very last time. They had to step around holes to get into the cabin door. Stanley was surprised to see so many around the cabin. He would have expected the warden not to want the campers digging so close to her home. But several holes were right up next to the cabin wall. The holes were close together here, and they were all different shapes and sizes. Mr. Sir knocked on the door. Stanley held the empty sack. "Yes," said the warden, opening the door. "There's been a little trouble out on the lake," Mr. Sir said. "Caveman will tell you all about it." The warden stared at Mr. Sir a moment. Then her eyes turned to Stanley. Now he felt nothing but dread. "Come in, I suppose," said the warden. "You're letting the cold out." It was air-conditioned inside her cabin. The television was going. She picked up the remote and turned it off. She sat down on a canvas chair. She was barefoot, wearing shorts. Her legs were as freckled as her face and her arms. "So what is it you have to tell me?" Stanley took a deep breath to steady himself. "Oh, while Mr. Sir was filling the cans, I snuck into his truck and I stole a sack of sunflower seeds." "I see." She turned to Mr. Sir. "That's why he's here?" "Yes, but I think he's lying. I think someone else stole the sack and Caveman's covering up for X-ray or somebody else. It was a 20-pound sack, and he claims to have eaten them all by himself." He took the sack from Stanley and handed it to the warden. "I see," the warden said again. "The sack wasn't full," said Stanley. "I spilled a lot. You can check my hole." "In that room, Caveman, there's a small flowered case. Will you get it for me, please?" She pointed at a door. Stanley looked at the door, and then at the warden, and then back at the door. He slowly got up and walked towards it. It was a kind of dressing room with a sink and a mirror. Next to the sink, he saw the case, white with pink roses. He brought it back out to the warden, and she set it on the glass coffee table in front of her. She unclasped the latch and opened the case. It was a makeup case. Stanley's mother had one similar to it. He saw several bottles of nail polish, polish remover, and a couple of lipstick tubes, and jars and powder. The warden held up a small jar of dark red nail polish. "You see this, Caveman?" He nodded. "This is my special nail polish. Do you see the dark, rich color? You can't buy that in a store. I have to make it myself." Stanley had no idea why she was showing it to him. He wondered why the warden would ever have the need to wear nail polish or makeup. "Do you want to know my secret ingredient?" He raised and lowered one shoulder. The warden opened the bottle. Rattlesnake venom. With a small paintbrush, she began applying it to the nails on her left hand. "It's perfectly harmless when it's dry." She finished her left hand. She waved it in the air for a few seconds and then began painting the nails on her right hand. "It's only toxic while it's wet." She finished painting her nails and then stood up. She reached over and touched Stanley's face with her fingers. She ran her sharp, wet nails very gently down his cheek. He felt his skin tingle. The nail on her pinky just barely touched the wound behind his ear. A sharp sting of pain caused him to jump back. The warden turned to Mr. Sir, who was facing her, who was sitting on the fireplace hearth. "So you think he stole your sunflower seeds?" No, I say he stole them. He says he stole them, but I think it was. She stepped towards him and struck him across the face. Mr. Sir stared at her. He had 3 long red nail marks slanting across the side of his face. Stanley didn't know if the redness was caused by her nails or by his blood. It took a moment for the venom to sink in. Suddenly, Mr. Sir was screaming and clutching the side of his face with both hands. He let himself fall over, rolling off the hearth and onto the rug. The warden spoke softly. I don't especially care about your sunflower seeds, Mr. Sir moaned. If you must know, said the warden, I liked it better when you smoked. For a second, Mr. Sir's pain seemed to recede. He took several long, deep breaths. Then his head jerked violently, and he let out another shrill scream, worse than the one before. The warden turned to Stanley. I suggest you go back to your hole now. Stanley started to go, but Mr. Sir lay in the way. Stanley could see the muscles on his face jump and twitch. His body writhed in agony. Stanley stepped carefully over. Is he... Excuse me, said the warden. Stanley was too frightened to speak. He's not going to die, said the warden, unfortunately for you. Chapter 21. It was a long walk back to his hole. Stanley looked out through the haze of heat and dirt at the other boys, lowering and raising their shovels. Group D was the farthest one away. He realized that once again he would be digging long after everyone else had quit. He hoped he'd finish before Mr. Sir recovered. He didn't want to be out there alone with Mr. Sir. He won't die, the warden said, unfortunately for you. Walking across the desolate wasteland, Stanley thought about his great-grandfather. Not the pig stealing, but the pig stealer's son. The one who was robbed by Kissin' Kate Barlow. He tried to imagine how he must have felt after Kissin' Kate had left him stranded in the desert. It probably wasn't a whole lot different from the way he himself felt now. Kate Barlow had left his great-grandfather to face the hot, barren desert. The warden had left Stanley to face Mr. Sir. Somehow, his great-grandfather had survived for 17 days before he was rescued by a couple of rattlesnake hunters. He was insane when they found him. When he was asked how he'd lived so long, he said something along the lines of, found refuge on God's thumb. He spent nearly a month in a hospital. He ended up marrying one of the nurses. Nobody ever knew what he meant by God's thumb, including himself. Stanley heard a twitching sound. He stopped in mid-step with one foot still in the air. A rattlesnake lay coiled beneath his foot. Its tail was pointed upward, rattling. Stanley backed his leg away, then turned and ran. The rattlesnake didn't chase him. It had rattled its tail to warn him to stay away. Thanks for the warning, Stanley whispered as his heart pounded. The rattlesnake would be a lot more dangerous if it didn't have a rattle. Hey, caveman, called Armpit. You're still alive. What'd the warden say? Asked X-Ray. What'd you tell her? Asked Magnet. I told her I stole the seeds, said Stanley. Good going, said Magnet. What'd she do? Asked Zigzag. Stanley shrugged one shoulder. Nothing. She got mad at Mr. Sir for bothering her. He didn't feel like going into details. If he didn't talk about it then, maybe it didn't happen. He went over to his hole, and to his surprise, it was nearly finished. He stared at it, amazed. It didn't make sense. Or perhaps it did. He smiled. Since he had taken the blame for the sunflower seeds, he realized the other boys had dug his hole for him. Hey, thanks, he said. Don't look at me, said X-Ray. Confused, Stanley looked around. From magnet to armpit to zigzag to squid. None of them took credit for it. Then he turned to Zero, who had been quietly digging in his hole since Stanley's return. Zero's hole was smaller than all of the others. Okay, so we're ready for chapter 2 now, and you all are unmuted. What do
Chapter
you
22.
think?
Miss Everett.
I think it was
Hold on. Hold on, don't all raise hands at once. Hold on. All right, if you have something to say, do it with your blue hand or raise your hand like this on the screen, okay? I heard Addison first. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Can you read it again? Because my screen froze and I had to log out and then go back in, so I didn't hear it.
It's recording right now, so you can listen to the recording afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll send the link out this afternoon. Riley,
I think it was terrific.
you thought it was terrific? Was anybody surprised by the warden and what she did? Yeah. Ooh, so do you think she's dangerous now? Some of you thought she wasn't dangerous. Do you think she's dangerous now?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. So now Stanley's in this whole other predicament. What do you think about Zero now? Who wants to tell me what they think about Zero? Jace.
He was the shy kid, and now that that Stanley's being nice to him, that he's starting to lighten up to Stanley.
Okay.
Also, can you repeat the questions, because I joined late?
I haven't asked the questions yet.
I thought, like, as soon as I joined, like, those were the questions, and like that's what I thought you said when I joined.
No, I haven't been over the questions yet, buddy, so no worries, okay?
Okay.
Chris.
I feel like he's trying to make good friends with Stanley, so he can at least learn how to read.
Yeah, he's trying to like maybe help Stanley not be so tired, so he'll teach him how to read. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah? Beckham.
I think the warden's next nail polish will be made from the spotted lizard venom.
Ooh, an even more deadly polish. Man, that part of the movie, and when you read that in the book, it's just like, whoa, she's crazy. But she's a crazy woman, yes. But okay, so let's think about our questions. So what did Zero not know how to do, guys? What does he not know how to do that most other people do at his age know how to do?
Read and write.
He doesn't know how to read and write. So what did he ask Stanley?
To teach him how to read.
Can you teach me how to read and write? But is Stanley going to teach him as of right now? Do we think he's going to teach him? No? Do you think maybe his opinion might change because now he saw that Zero helped him dig his hole?
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe. Okay. So what did Magnet steal out of Mr. Sir's truck?
Sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds. He stole sunflower seeds out of Mr. Smith's truck. Mr. Sir's truck.
Mr. Smith, I didn't know he worked at Camp Green Lake.
Well, you know what? It might be his part-time job now. Who knows? But so were you surprised that they made Stanley take the fall for it, that no one else stood up and like said, I took it? Was anybody surprised?
That's what they've been doing the entire story.
Yeah, they're kind of letting him take the blame for everything, right?
Yeah, he's just trying to be a nice person. They're just blaming it all on him.
I know. He's being too nice, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's being way too nice. Yeah. Okay, so what was so special about the warden's nail polish? What did
It was made out of rattlesnake venom instead of regular nail polish, and it couldn't be bought at a store.
Right. She adds her own secret ingredient, which is rattlesnake venom. I wonder how she gets that. How do you?
She picks up the rattlesnake with the thing. This is what my grandpa does to kill rattlesnakes.
Okay.
He picks the rattlesnake up with the claw and then cuts and then like snaps its neck so it dies, and then he pulls out the teeth.
Oh, and then the venom's in there. Oh, and
Yeah,
maybe she'll
but
probably just like pour it into her nail polish.
Yeah, my grandpa has a lot of pygmy rattlesnakes, which are like tiny rattlesnakes at where he lives. So he just kills those like that.
Okay, gotcha. Chris?
Elaborate.
Actually,
Hold on,
one
Maria.
of the venom, I watched this on a couple of YouTube shows. What you have to do is put the teeth inside a cup and then squeeze down on their head. And then the venom will start leaking out of their teeth.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. All right, Maria, did you have a question, sweetheart?
I just thought about the venom nail polish the warden made by himself.
Uh-huh.
And I think in the beginning we read something about like most people not survive it. Remember?
Right, yes. If you
Maybe-
get bit by a rattlesnake, you got to go to the hospital to be able to
Or-
survive it.
I didn't get into details and I thought about it. Maybe warden kills all the people with her nail polish.
Oh, another prediction then now maybe, yeah?
Wacky warden. A wacky warden.
A wacky warden, Chris?
I feel like the reason he doesn't die is because she scratches her, so it's only on the top surface of the skin.
Mhm.
And rattlesnake bites, their teeth go all the way down, so when it leaks, it's literally kind of like in your veins and stuff.
Oh, it's only on the surface of his skin. It doesn't get into his bloodstream. Good thinking there, Mr. Chris. Listen to you. All right, hold on.
Kitty cup.
So we kind of already talked about this question, but why do you think Stanley or Zero helps Stanley? Why do you think he's trying to be Stanley's friend?
He really wants
So
to
he
read.
can teach him how to read and write. And then he
Okay,
can have someone that's actually nice to him.
but so why do you think, what was Stanley's excuse to not teach him how to read? What did he say?
He was tired.
He was tired, right? He's
Zero took it
tired.
serious. And
So
Zero took it
now
serious.
he's thinking if he helps him dig his hole, maybe, then he won't maybe be so tired. So we'll have to see if he starts teaching him. I have a feeling he might. All right. Okay, so this is one that I want you all to think about, okay? What theme? So do you remember a theme like
Yeah.
friendship?
It's like the topic.
Yes, it's like a story's like what are they trying to
Message.
teach us through the story, right?
Story message.
So what theme do you maybe see developing in this story? Does anybody see like a pattern or something maybe like learning a lesson? Jace?
I think the theme's like if you help someone that's like been getting beat up and bullied, it'll turn around and have something good happen to you.
Okay, anybody else see a theme developing? Anybody else got a clue about maybe a lesson that we're trying to learn from Stanley? Not yet? We'll just keep thinking about it then, okay?
This is my cat, Lewis.
Hi, Lewis. Okay. All right, did anybody have any questions for me? Beckham, you have questions? I can't read that.
No, these are the questions that I wrote down.
Okay, so what are your questions, buddy?
One eye's orange and one eye's blue.
No, like
One eye's orange and one eye's blue.
that you were saying.
Oh, okay. You don't have to write those down. You just have to write whatever you had a question down. Did anybody have a question about what happened in the story right now? No, everybody understood? Yeah? Okay, so okay, so Stanley just went to the warden. We found out a little bit more about how crazy this warden is. We found out the boys at the camp are not really nice to Stanley except Zero. So what do you want to predict? What might happen now?
I've watched the movie.
What happened
Pretty
now?
much the same. What do you think's gonna happen?
What do you think's gonna happen? Anybody got a prediction?
Say something.
The warden
Stanley and Joel.
removed from the camp.
You think Stanley's gonna be removed from the camp?
No, the warden.
Oh, the warden might be removed from the camp because maybe she's too mean. Okay. All right. Anybody else got a prediction of what they think might happen?
I do, but I can't. but I know it's gonna happen. Because I've seen the movie. I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, thank you for not spoiling it. I appreciate it. Anybody else got a prediction?
We just say Stanley and Zero are going to be friends.
I do.
Chris, got it. What's up?
They're still gonna be in the same group because they have to be together. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Zero and Caveman are gonna be really good friends.
Okay.
And not gonna be friends with the rest of the people because they're not as nice. So I feel like Caveman and Zero are gonna be really good friends.
Okay. All right. So Caveman and Zero may become really good friends. Anybody else got a prediction? No? All right. So how are we feeling about the story, guys? Thumbs up, thumbs in the middle, thumbs down.
Booga booga.
Pretty good. We're liking it. Everybody's really liking it. Everybody's understanding it.
Yep.
All right, cool. So does everybody understand their checklist from this week, and how are we feeling about work? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're feeling pretty good. Everybody's getting in the swing of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so remember also, I sent a few of you an email yesterday about not completing your Wonders assignment from Tuesday. So make sure that you turn in your Wonders assignment. You hit that submit button on the main assignment page to make sure that your assignment came to me, okay? If I sent you an email about I didn't have it, that means you didn't hit submit, okay? So make sure you go back in and you hit submit if you didn't hit submit on Tuesday, okay? Yes,
Miss
Addison.
Navarette. I halfway finished it and then I clicked save and then I logged off the whole computer and I went back because I had to do something else and then it said that and then I had to start all over again. But I clicked save.
Did you click the one on the far left side again?
Yeah.
So the one that you saved should drop down right beneath the instructions, Addison. You shouldn't have to start all over again. So
Okay.
you know how it might be in two different places? Like the first time you click it, it's on the right-hand side of the screen. But when you save it, it drops down like kind of towards where you can write me a note. Remember it says like note to teacher?
Yeah.
It will drop down right there what you worked on. Because yeah, if you click on the one on the right, it's just the blank slate. But if you click on the one right by the teacher's note, then it's right there. So you shouldn't have to start over.
Okay.
Okay. Did you submit it already, sweetheart?
No, I'm not done with it yet.
Okay. Just make sure you get it done by Friday. And if you need help, let me know, okay? Any other questions for any of me or anything like that, guys?
Nope.
No, we're all good?
No, but
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, okay. Well, I miss you guys. I really miss you guys. I miss not teaching you, and your puppy is so cute, Addison. Oh my
What about
word.
my kitty?
I see your kitty too.
That one's like 8. This one's 8 or 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have any questions for me, how did you feel about the live Zoom? Do you like me reading it to you this way, or do you like me reading it over YouTube to you?
I like it reading it this way, so we don't have to like type in the answers, and you can just go over the answers with us.
Okay. So for one, put 1 if you like YouTube way better, and put a 2 if you like Zoom better.
1 if you like YouTube, 2 if you like the Zoom.
Richard, 2.
2.
Riley, 2. Amelia, 2. Angel, 1. Okay. All right. So majority 2. Beckham, 3 wasn't an option. There
He
we go.
wants both. 2 plus 1
Wants
equals
both.
3.
2 plus 1 is 3. Oh, okay. Well, we'll probably do this kind of once a week, like one time a week. It will be on YouTube, and then next week or the next time it'll be live. What if we keep doing that? Does that sound good?
Yeah, Beckham's idea was 3 is good.
Okay. We'll do both. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys don't have any questions, I've got to read this to the next class here in about 10 minutes, okay?
All
right.
Question.
Email me, call me if you need to, and I miss you guys, and I love you.
Miss you, Abbott.
Bye, friends. Yes, Jason.
Alexa, stop. When is the next Zoom meeting?
Probably next Tuesday.
Okay. I had trouble with my PowerPoint on my computer.
Oh, it's not working?
Yeah, because it says I have to open like this app and I don't have it, and I need my mom to set it up, but but we're trying to work on the backyard, so we never have time to do that. They like to sleep in, and they get me up at like 8 to do my homework.
Okay.
I never do it.
I've been having troubles with PowerPoint
I
also.
think I gotta go back.
Okay. Why don't you, Chris and Jace, I want you both when we get off here, I want you to email Mr. Smith and I want you to ask him, hey, can we Zoom tomorrow because I'm having a hard time with my PowerPoint. You just literally need to say, hey, can we Zoom tomorrow? I need help. Okay, because today he's traveling, so he can't get online today. But just say, hey, Mr. Smith, can we Zoom tomorrow and you help me with my PowerPoint?
I don't think it's really that big of a problem. My problem is that when I press share, it's going into this other stuff. So like it won't let me share it to like you and Mr. Smith.
Definitely Zoom him, Chris. Show him what's going on, okay?
Mine's just not letting me get in, period. Because, like, I'll get in and then it won't let me type anything. Like, I'll start typing and it'll just say, like, you have to put your email and stuff in. I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Same,
Yeah,
like,
Jace, you and Chris both need to say to Mr. Smith, hey, can we Zoom? I need help on my PowerPoint, okay?
All right.
So send him an email right after this. Got it?
All right.
Okay. All right. Antonio, you got any questions?
No.
No? Angel, you all good? Yeah, I hope you have a safe trip, buddy. Aaliyah, are you good, sweetheart?
Yeah.
Hey, Aaliyah, I know you came in a little late, so make sure you go back and listen to the recording if you missed any of the story, okay, sweetheart? And Maria is still there. Maria, do you have any questions?
Nope, I'm fine.
All right, guys. Well, I love you. Email me if you need help with anything, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye.
Louis needs to learn.
Bye.
Mow.